The game of golf as we know it today can be attributed to the Scots, although there are records of several stick and ball games throughout history. As far back as the 13th century, the Dutch played a game where a leather ball was hit with the intention of reaching a target several hundred yards away. The winner would be the player who reached the target with the fewest shots. However, the Scottish sport, which was known as golf, had one distinction that separates it from similar sports in history: the hole. When we're talking about the modern game with 18 holes, golf history traces its origin back to 15th century Scotland. The game is first mentioned in an act of Scottish Parliament in 1457, which called for it to be banned alongside football. King James II of Scotland prohibited the playing of games as it was a distraction from military training, and he felt perfecting archery would be a more worthwhile sporting pursuit. After several more bannings throughout the 15th century, and golf being lambasted as an unprofitable sport, restrictions on playing the game were removed from the Treaty of Glasgow, coming into effect in 1502. Today, the Scots are extremely proud of their golfing heritage, and there are ancient courses that continue to pull in thousands of visitors to the small country each year as they continue to play their part in the history of golf. The oldest recorded rules for the game date back to the year 1744, where the Honourable Company of Edinburgh Golfers published Articles and Laws in Playing at Golf. This ancient piece of golf history, which now remains in the National Library of Scotland, gave fame to the Muirfield Club, being the longest surviving club in the history of golf. Soldiers and immigrants played a pivotal role in the history of golf. They were responsible for spreading the game around the British Isles during the 18th century. However, it wasn't until the 19th century that the game started to gain an international presence. The oldest golf courses outside of Britain are to be found in nearby France, with the establishment of Royal Calcutta Golf Club in 1829 and the club at Pau in 1856. By 1880, golf had spread to Ireland, many other parts of Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Singapore, and South Africa. Meanwhile, back in Britain, the game enjoyed increased popularity. By 1880, England had 10 golf courses, which rapidly increased to 1,000 by 1914. There is evidence to suggest that golf was enjoyed in America during the 18th century. A shipment of golf equipment to Charleston, South Carolina in 1739 aided in the founding of the South Carolina Golf Club in 1787, and an advertisement for golf clubs and balls in the Royal Gazette of New York City in 1779. However, much like other parts of the world who adopted the sport early, no real traction was gained until early 19th century. In 1984, the United States Golf Association was formed to become ambassadors for the game in the States, which by 1910 was host to 267 golf clubs. The physics of a golf swing is deceptively more complicated than one might imagine. At first glance, it might appear as simple as swinging a club and hitting the ball, but in fact there is quite a bit more to it. There is the importance of technique, obviously, but there is also some interesting physics that go into making the perfect golf shot. There are two main components that go into golf swing physics. Both of these will result in the best possible shot: good swinging speed of the arms and shoulders, and unlocking the wrists at the right moment so that the club connects squarely with the ball. Uncocking the wrists means letting the wrists rotate freely while still holding onto the club. The importance of the first point is fairly obvious. You must generate good swing speed to hit the ball hard enough so that it goes far. The second point is not as obvious. To understand the physics of golf swing, one must consider the mechanics of rotational motion. When an object travels around in a circle, it moves outward, if unconstrained. To visualize this, imagine yourself sitting in a car that makes a sharp left turn. If you're not wearing your seatbelt, you'll go sliding across the seat towards the right due to the effects of centripetal acceleration. Similarly, by uncocking your wrists during the golf swing, the club will move radially outward, since it's not restrained. This is unlike, say, baseball, where the batter drives the bat through its arc using raw muscle power. A baseball player relies on strong wrists and forearms to get a solid hit. His hands are active. This is unlike golf, where the player's hands are passive, since they exert no twisting force on the club. This probably gives you some idea why baseball players have such beefy forearms and wrists. They need the strength to power the bat through the swing. Part of the physics of a golf swing means finding the released or the wrist uncocking point so that at the bottom position, where the player's hands are directly above the ball, the golf club is in the vertical position parallel to his arms. This will maximize the speed of the club head upon impact and result in the furthest hit.